All right. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Hey, welcome to the podcast for people whose mama died by people whose mama died. It's called No Mama No Manual. I'm Tiana.
I'm Brittany.
And today's episode is...
Let me get the tissue. Where the box?
It's right there.
Okay.
We've called it My Mama Died, Now What? Because what the fuck are you supposed to do after that?
The best you can.
Literally. I think, okay, so when because like I told you, my mom lived in Mississippi, and the day she passed away, I was afraid to call her that morning because the night before we had got into it, right? And so I was like, and I normally will call her early in the morning. What was happening? The Freak Marathon. Lord. It had taken over downtown and I needed to get to the radio station, but the main street was blocked off. And so, that's another landmark date for me. But my mom was one of those people who was really good with directions, and she knew how to get to anywhere from everywhere.
She knew what street was the one way going north, south, east, west.
Yes, okay. And she had been in the city long enough to know, like, okay, well, when the marathon is happening, you can go down to XYZ. So I was gonna call her, and I'm like, let me not call this lady because she was supposed to name me last night. So I'm gonna talk to her after church. Go to church. On the way back from church, you get a frantic phone call from my uncle. We got a problem. Your mom's not breathing. I'm like, okay, well, did somebody call 911? Like, relax, right? Everybody calm the fuck down first. And I got in my car, and I'm driving home, and I get a phone call on the freeway that my mom didn't make it. And I'm like, driving. So I pulled over, because what do you do? So I pulled over and, like, screamed, right? And we went there real fast. Pulled over, screamed.
Yeah, like there was no
warm up, no lube, just all right.
Heavy,
yeah. As I pulled over and screamed.
Why?
I don't know.
It's just so uncomfortable. That's what happens. You just say stuff when you real uncomfortable. No lube. Like, girl, finish your story. What?
I pulled over and screamed first, right? Because my mama died. And then it was like, my mama died. And I don't know what to do. My mommy died. So, like, what happens now? I just drove home. And at the time, I had a roommate. And so I told her that my mommy died. And then it's like, okay, what next? It's like, oh, you probably should tell other people. So I called my godparents. I called my cousins. I tell them my mommy died. Because, like, how else do you say that? Right? And it's like, okay, now what? Everybody comes over, I guess. So that's what they did.
That was annoying, by the way, but yeah.
They came over. And it's like, all right, now we all are here. What next? Some people brought liquor. Some people brought weed. Some people brought food. Because what are you supposed to do now? My roommate, Tiana, yes, we have the same name. She helped me, like, prepare. And I don't know necessarily how she knew what stuff I needed, but she, like, wrote me this list out of all the stuff I needed to find and, like, gather. So, like, birth certificates, bank statements, what type of stuff to go look for in her house, like insurance policies. I didn't know. I was like, what the fuck?
Do you still have that list?
I think I do.
It would be useful to share.
It would be useful to share. I think I do have it. It was a random notebook that she gave. She was like, here, you gonna need this.
Has she lost her mother or something?
No. But her family, her grandfather's a pastor. And so, you know, when you are in the church, a lot of times that is what you do. Like when somebody passes away, like the church kind of helps take over and help with the stuff. Mm-hmm. And so she made me that list. And then it's like, all right, well, I guess I have to go to Mississippi now. I need a flight. My sister purchased my plane ticket. Like, I went over to my godparents' house because I'm like, I don't know what to do now. So my godmom helped me book my flights, and then we went down there, and it's like, well, okay. Now it's like a million people talking to me at once because it's like, what happens to the things in her house? Mm-hmm. What happens? What the fuck you want the funeral thing to look like? What did you want to be cremated? You want to bury her? We bury her. Where does the person get buried at? I didn't know you had to pay the people to like dig the hole if you bury somebody. Just random shit. And who would have known? Right? And then I think a lot, very frequently, about the fact that my mama told me a bunch of times that she did not want to be buried. And my uncle, her big brother, was like, no, you need to bury your mama. Da, 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 da. You need to come back and visit her. And in my head, I'm like, well, she didn't want that. But I also did not have the capacity to argue with this man.
I understand.
So my mama is buried in the church cemetery with no headstone. Why didn't you buy a headstone, Tiana? Because my mama didn't want to be fucking buried. Why would I spend money on a headstone? Y'all can buy it if you want her to have one real bad. But cool. I went in that house for 3 seconds because she passed away in her home. And my great-grandmother passed away in that same home. So I really wasn't feeling it. I had no desire. I have not been back. My mom died 5 years ago. I ain't been back to the house. It's stuff all up and through there. Eventually I should, but right now, I don't want to. I went in there. My mama had been preparing. All of the stuff that I needed to find was in one place, in one bag. All of her passwords in one book.
That's love.
Yeah, why she ain't say nothing?
Why would she say something? So what, you could be stressed before and after?
You sound like her.
I'm sorry. I'm listening right now. My listening ears are on. Like I make my kids do. They're on. I'm just saying.
Anyways, cool. Funeral happens. Thanks. Funeral happens. And I didn't stick around. All right. My friends said they were driving back. Great. Me too. Hopped right in the car and have nothing back. And then it's like, okay. Damn, my mama really did.
It don't feel real when you're in it. It really don't.
What do I do? Go to work? No. So I went to work. Directly back to work. Like, did not pass go. Did not collect $200.
What do you think about that now?
I probably, knowing what I know now, I probably have done the exact same thing. Because what else do you do? I'm also not a person who, like, enjoys feelings. If they're not happy. So, what am I supposed to sit at home and be sad? Everybody be looking at you all pitiful and shit. I don't.
Is that bad?
Baby, I'm going to work.
Sadness is a valid emotion.
It is.
Black women do this. Can't be sad, can't be mad. I'm both. And they're righteous and they're valid. Yes, you were supposed to sit and be sad if that's what you wanted to do. If it's not what you wanted to do, then go back to work.
And that's what I did.
Period. Because that's what you wanted to do.
That's what I did. I had a therapist at the time. Like, we had just started maybe a month before that. And the Thursday, so my mom passed away on a Sunday. The Thursday before, I had a panic attack of some sort. Like, I couldn't sleep. I was, like, my anxiety was through the roof. And all I could think to do was write. And so in my journal, it's just all this crazy stuff. It's so many, like, crazy ass things, but I was like, I think my mom is gonna die. And so I told my therapist, I was like, I think my mom's gonna die. And then 3 days later, it's like, right, so my mom died. She was just like, what? And I'm like, oh yeah.
What made you think your mom was gonna die? Because you weren't there, you couldn't see her. Was it that she talked to you different? What was it?
When she had been in the hospital, and when she got home from the hospital, she could not walk to the door. She got out the car and collapsed. Of course, I didn't find out till afterward because nobody likes to tell me things. But that is what happened. My uncle had to like help her into the house, and that just didn't feel right. And so I just was worried about her because why was she in the hospital so much? Why she couldn't go home? Why aren't the doctors, like, where are the doctors? Why ain't nobody saying shit? What's going on? And so I was afraid that she was going to die from lack of care. Not knowing that if there was no more care to give, baby, this heart is done for. I didn't know that. She didn't tell me. So I'm just assuming things from hundreds of miles away. And that was the thought that I had. I just felt like she was gonna die.
And then she did.
And then she fucking did. Like, girl.
And then you went right back to work.
I went to work.
And then you stayed productive and working for how long before it, like, punched you in your chest?
Like 2-3 months.
What was the moment where you was like, when did you get punched in your chest?
I was at work. And I don't know what happened or if there was a specific, like, event or trigger, but I was in that studio. Praise God, they're soundproof, right? I was in the studio with my friends, and I was just like, it just clicked. Y'all, my mama died. And then I had the whole, like, melt down the wall boo-hoo moment because my mama died and there's nothing I can do about it. Why the fuck would she do that?
That's literally the question.
Why?
Why would you do that?
Why would you do that to me, girl? And it was so annoying because it was like we was just, I don't know, you know that point at which, like, your mama go from being your mama for real, like you go from mother-daughter to, like, 2 women.
Yeah, like, I'm grown, you grown. To, like, maybe we could be homegirls. You know what I'm saying?
But, like, not
because you wasn't my little friend. But look at you now trying to be my little friend.
Look at you trying to be my friend. But, like, not so much because you still my mama. Yeah. Did that happen for you? You went back to doing things, school and stuff.
I went right back. I had a test the day my mom died, or the day before my mom died. And I didn't take the test the day before my mom died because my mom, she just looked bad. I remember I'm like calling my dad saying, this is going to be the last cold she get. Her toes were black and blue. She was, but she literally was like, if you take me to the hospital, I'm going to haunt you. And I was like, well, then I guess you're not going to the hospital, right? And to be honest, we knew. My aunts knew, my cousin knew. We knew. She just wasn't doing well. And I knew something was up because the week before, my mom sat me down at the kitchen table. I was so fucking mad because, again, I got a test coming up. So this is on Sunday. I got a test Thursday, Friday, right? She canceled my cousin from coming, who takes care of her during the day so I can study, right? She just she told her not to come. Didn't tell me she told her not to come. It's just, 10 o'clock roll around. I'm like, she's like, oh yeah, I told her not to come. What do you mean you told her not to come? She sits me down at the table and we're talking, and she tells me what she wants for her funeral, what Bible verses she wants read. what song she wants to play, that she wants to be cremated. Gives me like life advice on what the meaning of life was, which was where I got before my kids, and just that all the things she accomplished, everything that she was most proud of at the end was what she left behind for her kids, right? The tree she planted in the shade she wouldn't sit in, but that somebody else would enjoy. And we talked about that. That was on Sunday. And we fought all week because my mom, we didn't have that like went to homegirl phase. It was almost like the mother-daughter role switch because now I was the caretaker. But she was still my mama. And so we just kind of like took turns fussing at each other. That was kind of like what we did. It was fine. It was our new relationship. It was fine. But it was hard. It was a hard adjustment because I resented that a bit just because like I felt like me and my mama was just starting to get real cool.
Yes.
And me and my mom were always close, but we were starting to get cool. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, instead of her being able to like be a grandmother to my son and things like that, it was like, I'll take care of both of them. You know, I'm wiping everybody in this house ass. This is terrible. This is terrible, right? I would like a refund. This is awful. So, before she died, I kind of knew it was coming and things like that. And so it was Christmas break. So I went into Christmas break, wrote the obituary, all of that. But I was studying for my test, the test that I had missed. And so I went right back and took the test. Failed it respectfully, where like I could make it up at the end of like my next two tests. It was fine. It wasn't like I failed like I got a 40. It was like, okay, I got a 68. I can work with that. You know? And so I ended up passing that class. And I just kept going. And it really didn't punch me in the chest for a long time, actually, because I got pregnant again. And
somebody was coping.
I have done lots of coping. And my son was like sitting in a way that was so uncomfortable that I couldn't even finish my like mid school rotations. Like I had to take a break. Like my son sat me down. And that was when
you were on that lazy boy.
I could not move, and I just had to sit with myself because I literally could not move. Like it hurt so bad that I could not move. And that was when I fell apart. So
really?
It was almost like 2.5 years later. I think I had like small moments in the shower here or there where I would cry, but it was like, okay, get yourself together. You have
stuff to do.
You have humans to take care of. You have, you know what I'm saying? But I finally fell apart during my pregnancy and like had to sit with myself. And it was really hard. It was hard to be pregnant without my mama because she was there for my first pregnancy. And so that was hard. It just sucked. But yeah, I just pushed through work. I also would do the same thing though, because I don't think I would have went back. Had I taken a break, I wouldn't have went back.
Why?
I wouldn't have went back because if I had sat with the way that they treated me, right, and the way that they accused me of like lying about my mother's death, or you know, I would have never gone back.
Yeah.
Right. At one point, I had to have my gallbladder removed because, like, again, hormones and all these things. And they were like, well, it wasn't an emergent surgery. And they tried to, like, not let me start my third year of medical school. It was just an awful experience. And had I, like, really sat with that, I would just wouldn't have gone back. I would be somewhere fucking painting murals or some shit that brings me joy. You know, I really would be doing perfume reviews on YouTube, quite frankly, because the top notes have tonka bean and tuberose. And that's what I would be doing. So I couldn't afford to take a break at that time. The other thing was it really hit me hard that, like, my girl was gone.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, I had to get through because, like, I had to finish. I had to take care of my kids. I had to do, and, you know, my girl was gone. And not that I didn't have support. My dad is very supportive and all those things, but it wasn't the same. You know? It's just not the same. I kept going and I kept pushing till life sat me down and the baby sat me down.
And then you had to sit in it.
And Damo was born, my mom's birthday is June 24th. My son's birthday is June 30th. And it's like, he'd be making faces and doing things. And it'd just be like, wow.
You know your grandma?
For real. Did y'all meet? Like, he even is so bossy because my mom had this, she used to point her finger. She couldn't just tell you to do something. She used to have to point. When I tell you my youngest son points, he'd be like, I want snacks. little boy, if you don't put your finger down, if you don't, I call him Jackie Jr. sometimes because it just be like,
me.
sir. Yeah, they're very much alike. So it's just so interesting how genetics work in general, how things get passed down. So, but yeah, it's hard. I would say that there's no right or wrong way, but I would say that I would have validated my emotions more. Like, I am sad.
Yeah.
I am not okay. I need a hug. Those were things that I didn't know how to say then.
I avoided hugs.
I avoided closeness in general.
Yeah,
that's a whole nother,
detach.
Yeah.
If you don't have any feelings, you can't feel any feelings.
Yeah. I also feel like it has still affected me because, like, I can't. I went to your mother's funeral was the last funeral I ever went to because I fell apart. Like, I kept it together in that church. When I tell you, when I got in the car, I was like out of it for a week because it just took me back to a place, and I was just like, I don't do funerals.
You know what?
I made a choice.
I think that also contributed to like the distance between me, my mom dying, and feeling it, because I had a second service.
I remember you came. Yep.
Right. So I had the one in Mississippi at the church. That was on the 27th of October. And then November 21st, a whole month later, I had another one here in Detroit. And that's the one you came to. You asked me if I needed anything. I was like, can you just bring me some gum? You're like, I'm here, Brand. I got the gum.
To be honest, that was all. I was so glad you ain't asked for nothing else. I ain't even gonna hold you. I was so happy that all you needed was gum because I ain't know what to do.
Oh, man.
I ain't know what to do.
It's like, what do you ask for?
Yeah. It's made me give people more grace because I think when my mother initially died, there was just people that I was hoping showed up in a certain way, and that was unfair because they never volunteered to do that.
Oh my God.
They never said they were going to show up that way. There was never any indication that they owed me that. And these were just these expectations that I hadn't communicated. Because I thought, oh, we're friends. It'll look like this. It'll be like this. But people do. It's not, what I have learned is that it's not a lack of concern. It just be a lack of capacity. People don't know what to do.
They don't. I thought our relationship has shifted, but at the time, one of my very best friends, I didn't hear from him for 3 months.
He didn't know what to say or do?
He didn't know what to say. And it pissed me off.
Of course. Yeah.
Because, bitch, you could have said that. You don't know what to say. But not saying anything sucked.
It wouldn't have been. There was nothing he could have done right, though.
I don't think so. Maybe. I don't know. But I think I would have much rather known that you don't know what else to do than to not hear from you at all.
But I don't even think people know to say that. I don't think people know to say, I don't know. I feel helpless. I don't like seeing you. Because it hits you so hard. Like at the time I was getting married. I was like engaged. And looking back on it, it was like I just hadn't made space for anybody else to grieve either. Right? So like I'm mad at the way this person is showing up. But like this nigga sad too. Like he was close to my mama. You know what I'm saying? He had his own. This triggered something in him and I made no space for it whatsoever. None whatsoever. My dad the same way. Like it was just like, you not grieving right. You know what I'm saying? You're not, who am I to say that though, right? Yeah. And it, now looking back, being out of the fog, it sounds so ridiculous, but when you're in it, you don't have the capacity and they don't, like it's just a big breeding ground for miscommunication.
Yeah. I remember somebody reached out to me after their husband or boyfriend or I don't know, somebody's partner, their mother died, and they asked me what it was that I needed or they did some Googles. And so I was just like, you know what, I'm so glad that you did that because a lot of people don't know what to do and then they don't seek help. Like the internet is free.
Mm-hmm.
You can Google something to do. I think, and there's a little bitterness there. There's a little bitterness there because I feel like you didn't know what to say or do, and then you did not try to find out.
But what was going on in his life at the time?
I don't know.
That's the part right there. And you're not curious. That's the part right there. And that's the part that took me.
Because my mama died. And nothing is more important than that.
I'm saying
I know.
Almost 7 years later, right? It took me this long to think about that and how much I hadn't even considered that people have lives, right? Yours just stopped in a way that is just incomprehensible. Mm-hmm. You feel like the whole world stops, but it doesn't. People be still dealing with they shit, and then on top of that, your shit can be heavy, and people just be doing the best they can. People really do I really do believe that. Now, some people are dickheads, and like they gotta go, they have to go. But I don't know. I've just learned to give people more grace. My mama died. Now what? Now I give people more grace.
I'm learning.
Except for when I don't. Because when I cut you off, boy, when I'm done.
Through.
Oof. Who are you?
Yeah. My mama died. Now what? Now I try to acknowledge my feelings.
Love that.
And I am also working on the way that I handle myself, because it shows up in how I handle other people. So like that lack of grace that I have with the people, I also have with myself. There is like I be on my ass.
Yeah, you're not the nicest to yourself sometimes.
I'm not. And it shows up in how I evaluate other people's behaviors.
We've had to have that conversation a couple times because people don't talk to my friends like that, so you're not going to talk to you like that.
Yeah.
Like, get it together, yeah.
Yeah, but my mom was hard on herself, too. And so, like, there were so many times I secretly noticed that she was pissed that she fell short in some way. And so, yeah, now I'm trying to heal that for us all, so I don't pass it down to my kids.
There's no way not to fuck your kids up. I just
there's not.
There's just no way. We all need therapy, and we're all gonna need therapy. All you can do is the best you can do. But I will say that, like you said, validating feelings, making space for your feelings, and learning how to be nice to yourself is hard.
It's hard.
It's really hard.
It's really, really hard.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
And I think something happens. So for me, I was really upset. There was like a whole nother grieving period when I turned 30 because I love it here. Here in the third decade, I love it. Okay. Because I don't care. I like what I like, and I don't care if nobody else like it, and it feels good to me. And I wish my mama was here to be like, I understand why you was the way you was now, because I'm that girl. But I couldn't have said this 2 years ago. You know what I'm saying? I've arrived in my I'm that girl season, and it doesn't. And I like all I want to do is surround myself with other I'm that girls, you know? And I'm so much nicer to myself, and I'm so much nicer to other people now than I used to be, because I really do just believe that, especially if you know your people, right? If that's really your homie, if it's, you know, he didn't mean no harm, right? If you know he didn't know what to do, trust him and like believe that he really didn't know what to do. Because you that girl. And people will show up for you. People do show up for you. And you have to have like confidence and faith in that like, you know, we all just doing the best we can out here, man. We really are. And you're just doing the best you can out here. And you're doing so well. I will remind you anytime they give me a mic, I will tell you that you're doing so well. You really are. You're so impressive. I don't think you understand the ways that you inspire people, right? Just the way you exist and the way that you show up. And the way that you are so positive, the ways that like I would be in the house and wouldn't come out the house for days, and I would pull up, and wouldn't even call nobody, just be like, I'm about to go work out, and but wasn't there to work out.
It was so crazy because I remember coming to your house one time. You wasn't like you did. I hadn't heard from you in a while. You didn't answer the phone, and so I'm just like, all right, well I know where she live at, and I got to your house. And I saw you walking around in the house. And so I just started talking. I can see you opened the door. And you were like, oh, hey.
And I don't think we said a word. I think we just sat in the house together that day. I don't think we said a word to each other. Yeah. I don't think we said a word to each other. And you were going through it. Mm-hmm. Right. And it's things like that like, you know, you're hard on yourself, but you do many things for people, even though you don't think you're doing, just your being and the way that you exist is
trying to helpful. Comprehend that is enough is tough for me. Mm. But again, I have a therapist. Amen.
Yeah. That's so toxic. I have a therapist.
I do have one. I am learning things. Especially just in this now what season, even though it's been 5 years, it's been 6 years.
Now what forever.
It's now what for a long time. So if you're listening, you're watching, what is your now what realization? Share it with us. Or if you don't feel like you've quite gotten there yet, what part of it are you in? I am curious to see like what other people have done in there now what.
It's different. It's different in year 1 than year 2 than year 3 year 6. It's just different. Because if you'd asked me this 3 years ago, I'd have been like, fuck everybody. Now what?
Still,
now
it's fuck y'all.
Yeah. Because anger is a valid emotion. And sometimes people look mad, but what they are is sad.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Girl, this is a good one. I cried again. Look.
On camera. See, but that's that validation of emotion. I personally, true story, little vulnerability moment. I have a rule where I don't cry in front of people. I cry in the shower. I cry. I have been breaking that rule. It's actually been a goal of mine to break the rule. Mm-hmm. I still have I still be like, fuck when I cry because in my brain, I'm still breaking that rule. But again, just it's sadness, crying, tears. They're valid emotions. You don't have to be happy. Like positivity can be toxic.
It can. I might be one of those people.
But you have a therapist.
I do have one. And I'm learning that sometimes people just gotta be sad or upset. Include myself included. Ugh.
I don't know. And again, we could go forever on this topic, so I'm gonna wrap it up. But it's nuanced because you're sad, right? And that's your responsibility. And I think when you lose your mom, I was 25. I wasn't mature enough to recognize that, like, this is my sadness, right? This is my heavy shit to carry. And I can appreciate and love people who help me carry it because they don't have to, right? And I love and I appreciate that so much. But if they ever get tired of helping me carry it, that's their right too, because they're sad and they're dealing with their stuff. And just like, you know, part of being community and being in community is making space for everybody where they at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if you don't have that space, the other point is validating it. I don't got that space right now, so you can't be in my space. You know what I'm saying? And it's but it's less of a fuck you than it was 3 years ago, and more like, you know what? I don't have it for you. You ain't got it for me, and that's okay. And it's a nuance. It's very subtle, but it's a big difference. And it feels light. Like my skin is clearer. You know what I'm saying? If I have a wrinkle right here, it's gone. It has disappeared because you just carry less heaviness and just assuming the best about people.
That part, like the recognizing when people don't have the capacity to have, like I don't have it, and it's okay. I just got there this week, this week. Maybe.
But think about that. And we don't even got to put this up. This could just be me and you. If we edit this out, that's fine, right? Your homeboy. For years, you've carried that. You know what I'm saying? You've been mad for years. And it's just like the part where we don't be curious about other people. That's what grief does, right? It's just like this person that I know, what must have been going on that they didn't call? That if you know him, right, and you know, and it's just like that's I could imagine that's heavy to carry for like that many years, on top of your mama being dead, on top of trying to, you know what I'm saying? That's hard because you said it. Like I still feel some type of way to this day,
and we had a conversation, and I forgive you, but it still made me feel away,
and that's fine,
but getting curious about, because that's the way that he told me that's the way he handles his things. Like when people pass away or he is experiencing loss, he will disappear from everybody.
Mm-hmm.
He does not want to hear from people, and he assumed that it was the same.
Yep.
But he also didn't ask. Okay.
How long did it take you to ask him why he did it?
3 months. I called him. I was like, yo, what the fuck? My mama died, and I haven't heard from you. Like, what is going on?
That's crazy. That's a whole episode.
We should end this one.
I think this one's gonna get edited out anyway. At this point, we just talking, but yeah.
Yeah.
That was good.
It was. I feel better.
I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you. We're growing, and it's beautiful to see. Again, share your now what moments with us. We will share the community resources with you, and we will see you in the next one. Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay, bye.